gonna do what they say can't be done. We've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound, just watch old bandit run. Keep your foot hard on the pedal, son, never mind them brakes. Let it all hang out, cause we got a run to make. The boys are thirsty in Atlanta, and there's beer in Texarkana, and we'll bring it back no matter what it takes. Eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking. Are we gonna do what they say can't be done? We've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound, just watch old bandit run.
You have just unlocked the door to the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension, a dimension of sound and of sight. You are moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of offense and defense. You have just crossed over into the Irish Bill Sports Zone. Welcome to Week 7 of Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. Paul Villanova will be joining me here shortly as he finishes up over at the high school, the Navarre Raider Quarterback Club meeting tonight. And one thing I want to get out there, I know, Deborah, you've been not waiting for this moment, but all I have to say is doors down to Bama. Sorry, I had to go there. But this is Week 7, Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. We're here at Culver's in a different spot here in the building. And now we got your show again tonight here. We're going to recap the Raiders' loss to Escambia this past Friday night. We're going to go over our power rankings, our high school schedules, our college schedules, our predictions. If we get a chance, we'll go over former Navarre Raiders. Where are they now? And we'll give you some updates on the Gulf South Conference and SIAC Conference updates. And then we'll finish it up. Not Grant's Rants tonight, as he is elsewhere this evening out in Walton County taking care of some things. And he'll be back on the show tomorrow night with us from Buffalo Wild Wings. And then back on with me on Friday night as the Raiders venture back home for another district matchup. This one's going to be the Crestview Bulldogs coming west to Navarre, and should be a great matchup between the Bulldogs and the Raiders on Friday night. And get to talk hopefully with Crestview coach Thomas Grant. He's struggling with his Bulldog team this year as well. They're both teams are 2-4. The only bright side on the other side is Navarre is 1-0 in that district, and Crestview is 0-1. So let's get right into it, folks. Once again, this is Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. Paul Villanova will be joining me here shortly, and he'll be filling in for Seminole Bobs. So you know what, with Bob, these two things have nothing in common. Just because Bob's not here doesn't mean that Coach O is going to maybe make an appearance. But unfortunately, Coach O got in contact with me earlier. He is out of town right now. They lost a Red Bull truck. And you know how Coach O is with his Red Bull. So he is out searching for that lost Red Bull truck. So unfortunately, Coach O will not be here tonight as well. So let's get right to the recap from this past Friday night. The Raiders drop a tough one, 28-18. They get up early in the first quarter. A big 59-yard run by Andre Spence. First play from scrimmage. The Raiders tack on a 3 on their opening drive at 9-12. Jack Bayer's first varsity field goal. And the Raiders were up 3-0. And right as the clock expired, the Raiders would get on the board from 2 yards out. Andre Spence, his 5th touchdown of the season. Bayer would add the extra point. The Raiders were looking good, 10-0 after 1. Unfortunately, the second quarter happened, and it was a tale of 2 quarters in the first half. It was all Escambia in the second quarter. At the 8:06 mark, a 4-yard run by Nino Freeman. Morgan Stancliffe with the kick cut it to 10-7, and Moultrie goes in at the 47 mark, 14 yards out, and Mr. Clean's going to be joining me here momentarily. Yeah, you'll be on the right side here. This place was filled up. That was Raider night here at Culver's, and so we know anytime you step in to see what we got to play.
Mr. Clean gets rid of dirt and grime and grease in just a minute.
Mr. Clean will clean your whole house and everything that's in it.
Floors, doors, walls, halls, white sidewall tires, and old golf balls.
Sinks, stoves, bathtubs he'll do. He'll even help clean laundry too.
Mr.
Yeah, there you go. That's why we call him Mr. Clean.
And the thing is, I do the laundry at home.
So do I.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So
Let me turn up your mic here just a little bit as we get. We're just recapping the. We're in the first half. Just went to halftime. The Escambia goes to the half up 14-10. The tale of two quarters in that first half. Navarre moving the ball on the ground. Escambia couldn't stop them.
Yeah, and I was just having a conversation with Coach Bagley, which is why I was late, about that. And I asked him, why did we get away from running the Wildcat and a version of the Black Pearl and the Wildcat? And he said, he kind of shook his head and said, yeah, maybe we should have run it a little bit longer. But then he said that they adjusted. Escambia, they got caught off guard the first couple series, but they adjusted and put a couple extra guys on the far side in the second half, and I thought that if they couldn't stop it, why if it's not broke, don't fix it. I
mean, Andre went for 100+ yards in the first quarter, finished with 124 on the night, the only Raider that's gone over 100 this year, and so they go to the halftime down 4 in the ball game. Escambia gets the ball to start the second half. They go down and score on a 6-yard run by Dorian White. Stancliffe kicked. Did you know that was a young lady kicking the extra points?
I did not know that, but I saw a picture, and I meant to ask my son. I saw a picture of a young lady with a uniform on, but yeah, it makes sense. She was the kicker?
Yeah, she's the second year that she's played varsity for Escambia. She's 24 for 24 on the season and extra points.
Wow, she's pretty
good.
She
also plays at for the Escambia ladies soccer team.
Wow.
So she had a perfect night. So the lead stretches out to 21-10, but the Raiders bounce back. Roman Marshall finds Brody Powers on a beautiful crossing route by Brody, wide open in the end zone. Andre Spence in for 2, and they cut it to 3.
Yeah, I was again talking to Coach Bagley. At that point, it was 21-18, and we have a huge stop. There's 8 minutes left in the game, and it was my observation that we were flat. We came out for the next series, and it was flat. And he made the comment that the whole night seemed kind of flat. The band wasn't there because it was raining. There wasn't a lot of people that made the trip over to Pensacola, so the visitors' crowd was more sparse than normal. And the locker room, we didn't have access to a locker room that night. So he had before the game, they had to get dressed on the bus, and at halftime they had to sit in the end zone. So he just said that the energy level was just not the same. But I thought on that particular drive, after coming up with a huge stop on third and fourth down, that we came out flat. And I think we came out with a motion penalty and a holding penalty, and then all of a sudden we had 1st and 20.
Both teams with 10 penalties on the night. Yeah. There was 140 yards of penalties on the night between the two teams as I was finishing up the offensive stats earlier this evening. Come to the fourth quarter, still only down 3, but the 5:23 mark, a 38-yard run by Moultrie is second on the night as he finds a hole on the left side, and he goes in from 38 yards out, kick good, and there's your final score, 28-18.
Yep. It was a game we could have won. I think the game we probably should have won, but you got to put it behind you. We went over and played a really athletic, big team and hung with them the whole game. So, fortunately, it was a non-district game. We had, Zeke Burgess was still out, so we didn't have him in the lineup, but we also had Cooper Black missing the game.
Yeah, I was talking with Ryan after the game on the way home. They were on their way out to the Air Force Academy,
right,
as AK was getting recognized for the John Chapman Award. It's an honor, distinguished honor that she received at halftime of the Air Force Navy game on Saturday. He said Cooper watched the game on the airplane on the whole way out. He said that was the first time that he's done that, got to watch his high school team play live. And he said he really enjoyed it. And he said that we did a great job with the broadcast and everything.
That's awesome. I'm sure he would have rather been, on the field, but it's a once in a lifetime honor for his mom. He's not going to miss that.
Oh no, most definitely. That's a big honor for her as she ventures out in the civilian world now. Yep. But she's done some amazing things for this community and the Hurlburt community as well. And we wish her nothing but the best. But we'll see Cooper back in action this Friday night, and he's had a really solid season.
He has, both on defense and on special teams. He can hit. He's not afraid of contact, but he's had a couple of great kickoff returns as well.
Well, both him and Connor both like to hit.
Yeah, Connor was the same way. But Cooper was always a little bit smaller, but he's gotten obviously bigger and stronger. Weightlifting has helped him out a lot as well. And the last 2 years, he's been a hit stick. It's been fun to watch.
I believe that he has developed himself into playing at the next level as well. Mm-hmm. And with his size, and he can play numerous positions too. And I see big things out of that young man. Our Ian Lockwood player of the game last week, Andre Spence, did it on offense. He did it on defense. The only thing he didn't do was drive the bus to the game. And I'm not even sure of that.
I don't think he did. I think Coach Murphy did, but Andre could probably drive the bus. But he did a great job. He was all over the field. I think he had, 12 tackles or 11 tackles on. I need to get to the stats.
Yeah, he had 10 tackles on the night and a big interception that kept him out of the end zone.
Yep, that's right.
He seems to make big plays around the goal line.
He does. He does. Obviously in the Milton game, he caused a fumble that pretty much ended the game right there. And then this, you mentioned they kept him out of the end zone. At the time, we had let up, I think, 14 points, and they were about to go up 21-10, and that was key because it went to the half at 14-10 as opposed to 21-10, and Milton was getting the ball back to start the third quarter. So that could have been disaster, and that was a huge and Braxton Barr had great pressure on that play. If you watch the replay, he's chasing.
We're going to talk about some of these defensive stats, yep. and some of them are going to stand out, and you're going to be like, how did they have that many quarterback hurries on the night? But there was numerous guys with 4+. And our offensive player of the game went to the running back from Escambia, Moultrie. He had a great night running the ball, found the end zone twice. Our Will Sutter defensive player of the game, your son Vinny, 10 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, a quarterback hurry. Well, he's just getting it done, and we'll talk a little bit about the. I've updated the overall stats.
Okay.
The history of Navarre and
he's climbing the him and Andre both. Right?
Most definitely, and now with Josh back on the defensive side of the ball, he's going to try to increase his numbers as well.
Yep.
Because he's in the top 40 as well in total tackles. But our special teams player of the game, Jack Meyer, made his first field goal attempt of his high school career. He's 1 for 1 and did a good job placing the ball on the kickoffs as well.
There was one that he was perfect. I forget what point of the game it was, but the receiver or the return man was going towards the sideline, and he caught it, and he couldn't keep his balance, and he stepped out of bounds. You couldn't have placed it any better than that.
Yeah, so good job by Jack, our special teams player of the game. And our official stats now, as I got them now, Navarre passing on the night, 7 of 14, 54 yards, touchdown, interception. Roman with 7 of 13. Josh had 1 incompleted pass. Rushing, Andre Spence, 13 carries, 124 yards, a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion. Joshua had another solid night running the ball. I love watching that young man run the ball.
He runs angry. They both do.
12 carries, 73 yards, and Keegan got a little banged up. He slipped on the wet turf there, and I don't know if that was an ankle or what, but he was able to get back and come back into the game a little bit later on.
He fell on the ball at one point, got the wind knocked out of him.
That stinks.
Yeah, and I think he just seemed banged up the entire night. So he'll be back. I saw him in practice tonight, and he looked like the Keegan we've seen all year.
I'm anxious to watch that young man. May not be this year, but next year is going to be a big year for that young man.
Only a sophomore.
Receivers, once again, Roman spreads it out. 6 different receivers in his 7 completions. For the 3rd straight games, he's had at least 6 receivers with at least 1 catch.
Wow.
And a big catch there where he hooked up with Connor Hamlin to get him in for the scoring position, and Andre Spence finished that. Actually, that was the Powers pass that finished that one off. And Jack Helton with a big catch. Dante Walker starting to show up now, and and Keegan and Joshua. It's just you don't know who they're going to throw the ball to.
Yep. And I think they've got more receivers that haven't seen the ball yet as well. So
nice punt for Jacob Bishop. I know, not Jacob Walsh. No.
Thank you, Cynthia.
When there's more than one Jacob on a team, or you got players with the same name, I'll do that at least once a night, where I call the other kid's last name and the other. It never fails.
And my wife and I are, obviously we look at it the next morning and we call you out, and I know
it doesn't
like,
bother me.
No. It does a little bit.
Nah. Not really. It matters the situation and what's going on at the time. Might not even been about that. But defense, Bryce Wheeler's second straight game, 14 tackles, 6 quarterback hurries.
Oh, yeah.
He had 6 solo, 8 assists. Josh with 11 tackles, 10 solo, 1 assist. Vinny with 9 solo, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, quarterback hurry. And Andre Spence with 10 tackles, 8 and 2 in the interceptions. So for the second straight week, the Raiders have had 4 players with double-digit tackles.
Yep. And back to Bryce Wheeler for a second. Another kid who's a sophomore. He's going to be special. As he gets bigger and stronger, he's just going to nose for football, and his stats have been unbelievable as he's developed throughout the year.
I want to share a nice little sentiment that I got from his dad last night.
All right.
His dad sent me a little email. Unfortunately, he can't be here because he's an insurance adjuster, and he's traveling around the southeast right now, taking care of a lot of matters. And he actually sent a nice little email to me, if I can find it here. Nothing like on-air production. Yeah. But
he's a special kid. I know Coach Benjamin's high on him as well.
This is what he sent me last night. And this is one of the reasons that I got into broadcasting, and is to be able to bring the games to people that aren't able to be here. And he goes, I just wanted to send a quick message to you expressing my gratitude for what you do. Your broadcast allows me to watch my son Bryce play while I'm away for work. I'm an insurance adjuster, and I'm currently working these hurricane-damaged areas, so it makes my week better and reduces the stress that builds up when I can sit down and watch the Raiders take the football field. So depending on the weather, I can be anywhere in the country, but at least I know I can watch Navarre while I'm away. Thank you for your broadcast.
That's awesome.
And that's from Scott Wheeler.
Yeah, that's great.
And, I like sharing stories like that. Like I said, it's never been about me. It's about the young men and their stories. I just happen to be fortunate enough here to be here to tell their stories.
He reminds me a lot of. I told him this too, but he reminds me a lot of Grady Kelly, and he and Grady have made a connection over the years too. And he's gets a little bit more size. Grady's huge now, obviously, but.
Well, if he follows the steps of Grady's, he's got a very distinguished career ahead of him.
Yeah, Grady once had 8 sacks in one game, if I remember that correctly, right? So
well, they end up crediting him with 7. But I had him for 8. They gave one of them a tackle for loss. He had 7 sacks and 9 tackles for loss in that game against Lincoln, in a game they got beat.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Over at Lincoln.
It was a playoff game.
I love talking about this series of plays every chance I get. Glad you brought it up. Lincoln has 1st and 10 at our 29. 3 straight possessions. Grady sacks the quarterback. He switches sides. He sacks him from one side, goes to the other, has 2 straight, and it's 3rd down, and the quarterback gets up and spikes the ball down because he's so PO'd at his offensive line for getting sacked 3 straight times. He gets a 15-yard penalty. And they move him back from 1st and 10 at our 29 to 4th and 62 from their 29.
My goodness, that's
and when they punted, they didn't even get back to the original line of scrimmage.
That's great.
I love telling that story because that's one of the great.
Was that a playoff game?
No, that was a game. I think it was a makeup game. It was either a Monday night. I know there was one game that we had to make up over there, and they beat us like 35-20.
I was driving back from somewhere, and I listened to it. It must have been your broadcast. I listened to it in my car when he was getting all those sacks. And,
yeah.
It's crazy.
But I had to check the record books. I called my good friend Joshua Wilson down at FloridaHighSchoolFootball.com, and I asked him, is that a record 7? He goes, no, there's actually 9 is the state record.
Wow.
And he brought it right up, so I was like – so that's pretty darn close. He finished with the 18 that season, 26 in his career, both Navarre records.
Yep.
And
I didn't know this, and it was clarified for me over the weekend. If the quarterback, I always thought if the quarterback got the ball and was tackled behind the line of scrimmage, it's a sack. But if he's running the ball, it's a tackle for loss.
Right. On that last one, I think it was they gave a tackle for loss. They split between
Vinny
and it was easy.
Easy, yep.
And
because I said, Vinny, you might have 3 sacks. And he's like, no, that's going to be a tackle for loss. And
when they're in running out, because he was running out of the pocket.
Design run.
Yeah, and he was tough to control, but we did a pretty good job controlling that young man.
We did.
One of the most athletic quarterbacks in the area.
Although I think on that particular play, it was the backup, the guy that came from Pace, who
might have been Billy Dunn.
It was Billy Dunn on that play, but you're right on. Vinny's second sack was on both his first and second were on Nino. Nino's an athlete. But,
yeah, he is. And I mean, he shot out. I don't know. He looked like he was shot out of a cannon on that one. But this is they had 18 quarterback hurries on the night.
That's unbelievable.
You had Bryce with 6. You had Easy with 5. Braxton with 4. And then you had 1 each from Vinny, Will Payton, and Matthew Lee. That Matthew Lee has been stepping up and filling a solid role on the line for the Raiders.
Another sophomore. So you got sophomore there. You got a sophomore with Bryce Wheeler.
3 of the 5 on the offensive line are sophomores.
Yeah. Yeah,
Then
that's
your
right.
wide receiver, Brody Powers, another sophomore.
Yep.
Keegan Gilbert, sophomore. Your defensive side of the ball, you have freshman Jaden Jones.
Yep.
You have sophomore Zeke Burgess.
Yep.
I mean, it's just – and White will be back again next year
Marquez
as well.
will be back next year.
Love watching that guy. I don't think he realizes the talent that he has yet.
Yep.
He has really stepped up in the return game, both punts and kickoffs.
He's fearless.
You got to you could never pay me enough money to return a punt. I'm sorry. Plus I'm not fast. So
you say fast or
fast? Well, the other part, you take off the S, and I am that.
I didn't want to say it, but that's what I thought you said.
Hey, I've been pushing, but I'm working on it. Marty's getting me up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We hit Navarre Fitness at around 5:45, 6 o'clock.
Good for you, man.
And he's strength and conditioning with Marty Wilson. I love that guy like a brother. He's doing such great things with the community here and the youth in Navarre.
Yeah, he definitely is. No doubt.
But let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with our players of the game and our Panhandle Power Rankings.
All right.
We got some new ones this week. They haven't been selected this year, so we'll be right back after this break.
To everyone making time for life's best moments, let our team member Sandy share how Culver's is serving up Celebration by the Scoop.
Our rich and creamy fresh frozen custard makes every day a little bit sweeter. Enjoying a handcrafted treat with all the ooey gooey toppings you love? Now that's worth celebrating.
Come to Culver's and let us serve you a sweet treat to make every moment count. From Wisconsin with love, welcome to Delicious.
A strong work ethic takes pride in a job well done. This is the kind of person you need. Express Employment Professionals can help because we understand what it takes to hire the right person. It takes real people, real interviews. We find good people, matching the right skills with the right jobs from the production floor to the front office. Express knows jobs. Get to know Express. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. A buying, building, or refinancing a dream home is in your future. You need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes, Stacy Wright, and Sheila Billingham are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or refinancing experiences smooth. So University Lending at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call us at 850-396-0322. Navarre Fitness is where old school meets new. Whether you're into free weights or the latest and greatest weightlifting equipment, they will meet your needs. They have cardio machines as well if you want to get your sweat on. Whatever direction you decide to go, trainers Clay Horton, Brick Grubbs, Andrew Coase, and Stephanie Hunt will be there to assist you along the way. So what are you waiting for? Oh yeah, how do I join? Just go to NavarreFitness.net and check out our rates or call us at 850-816-5600. 5434. You can even stop by our location at 8700B Navarre Parkway in Navarre. You can also visit our sister gym, Midway Fitness, at 5660 Gulf Breeze Parkway, Unit 1. Both facilities are open 24/7. We are the place to go to get you started on the road to a better you. The Hustle isn't named after anyone, not after a designer, definitely not after a mythological god. It's not about stripes or ranking or status. The Hustle is real. The Hustle is about you. So keep in mind when you're repping and rocking Hustle Hard USA streetwear, you can tell all the onlookers that this mark, this brand represents your hustle, your grind. You put in that time, that sweat, that pain. Now it's up to you to show them all what you got. Win or lose, the hustle is real. Go to www.hustlehardusa.com and I can guarantee you, you will not be disappointed. Great teams have great support. The Navarre Raiders have one of the best support organizations, the Navarre Raider Quarterback Club. All the members see to it that the Raiders have all available necessities to keep the Raiders on track. Well, they're seeing to it that they are properly fed, have good transportation, or making sure that all Raider fans can hear all the exciting Navarre Raider football action. The Navarre Raider Quarterback Club is there to make it happen. Thanks, Navarre Raider Quarterback Club, for your support of your winning Navarre Raiders on IrishBillSports.com.
Sometimes all you need to change your life is a sign. Like an actual sign that's like above you. And no, I don't love B-dubs just because I'm a buffalo with wings. Frankly, that's offensive and reductionist. It's like they made beer into a place and gave that place sports and chicken wings. And the people, the best. Marty! You're dead!
They do some of the
this
best
place is
commercials.
kinda like heaven. You know, without needing to get hit by a bus. Let's go, sports bar!
Welcome back to Irish Bill's Twist on Sports here from Culver's in Navarre. It's week 7. Paul Villanova with, I haven't messed up at all this year.
Yeah.
Close?
Close.
Okay. Paul joining me
Philly
tonight.
Villanova.
Bob's still out in South Walton, had a school event to take care of tonight. So Paul graciously is sitting in the chair tonight. And we're going to do a new segment. But before we do, we got to recognize all of our people that are making comments and are watching tonight's show. Deborah Broxson, thank you. Joe Settle, Tim Keene, Coach Lee Jones checking in as well. And I know I've been giving Tim and Deborah a hard time because they got the doors blown off them this week by Vandy. You get that? The doors?
Exactly. You got it.
But anyways, we're going to do something a little different this segment. We're going to talk about some Navarre records that we're going to go through pretty much a lot of them. First, we're going to start off on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to go through just the top individual, our passing yards for the season. Austin Grimm goes all the way back to 2007. Matthew Webb, you remember Matthew. He's our passing yards career leader. Sage Chambers passing touchdowns in the season with 20.
What's the number on the passing yards for a season?
2,517 yards.
Wow.
Austin Grimm had a great year. That was the second year in a row that Coach Olson took the Raiders to the playoffs for the very first time. Matthew with 4,461 yards career passing yards. Hunter Feaster last year broke the record passing TDs with 41. Passing attempts for a season, Matthew not even close, 298 and 299 in the back-to-back seasons. Wow. He's a career passing leader with 597 pass attempts. Attempts in the game, 46. Matthew, he owns a lot of the passing records. We were pass happy back then. Completions for a career, Matthew Webb. Completions in a game with 26, Dusty Jones, going all the way back to the 2011 season when they had receivers Marquise Hagewood, Brad Leggett, Jordan Leggett, some of the big names and wide receivers back then for the Raiders. Passing yards for a game, the playoffs back last year, Bartram Trail. Hunter with 507 yards and a 67-55 loss. he's right there as he broke Matthew Webb's record that night. Marlon Courtney with 6 touchdown passes in a game against Crestview. He only completed 9 passes that night. 6 of them were for touchdowns.
Wow.
That's the game that Tyler England had 4 touchdowns, receptions, and 3 interceptions.
Wow.
Playing both sides of the ball. Your TD career leader, Michael Carter, with 79. He's still on the practice squad with the Arizona Cardinals. Your receiving yards for a season, Chris Weaver, the son of former Navarre coach Scott Weaver, 973 yards. I thought Terrence was going to break that just in that game alone against Bartram Trail.
At halftime, he was on pace.
Receiving yards for career, Dante Wright with 2,505 yards, getting it done at Temple.
Happy birthday, Dante Wright, today.
24 years old today. One of our favorite camera people's birthday today as well, Tammy.
Norton, that's right.
Her husband, Michael, was last week. This week it's Tammy, so happy birthday to all of them out there. Dante also relays with receiving touchdowns in the season with 15, and a career leader with touchdowns 29.
Wow.
And those are just receiving touchdowns. He's got quite a few rushing touchdowns as well. Receptions in a game, Chris Weaver with 13. People say, well, what was Chris Weaver like? He was all of about 5'6", 145 pounds.
Wow.
But he was the best route runner I have ever seen in high school football.
Wow.
And if touched his hands, he wasn't going to drop it. Terrence Marshall broke the record in receiving yards for a game with 286 as he broke Jordan Leggett's record from 2012. Tyler England with those 4 touchdown receptions against Crestview. Brad Leggett is the all-time leader, not Jordan. He has 118. He beat his brother by 1 reception.
Wow.
Dante Wright is in 3rd with 112. Terrence in 4th with 111. And Terrence missed the first 2 games of his senior season. If he would have played,
that's right,
he would be the all-time record holder. And now he's getting it done for Western Michigan.
Has he been on the field yet?
He has not been on the field yet.
Okay.
Receptions for a season, Chris Weaver, 67. He's your leader for a season. And that takes care of some of the offense. Let's move over a little bit more offense before we get to the defense. I know that's what you're looking for.
No.
Michael Carr leading the way, 2,536 yards in his season in 2016. For his career, 4,540 yards.
And he missed most of his junior year.
He missed 8.5 games his junior year. Rushing touchdowns for season, 41 that year. Once it got to the playoffs, he only got stronger. Rushing TDs for a career, 69. His older brother, Dwayne, is second with 42. Michael and Dwayne share the honors of 6 touchdowns in a game. Michael did his against American Heritage Delray Beach. Dwayne did his against Niceville, which is kind of sweet.
Had 8 in a game.
He had 7 in a game, but he had a kickoff return as well.
Okay.
So that's just rushing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Michael Carter with 296 carries in a season. That's a record. Hassan Williams, who filled in for him in that 2015 season, 33 carries in a game. Michael holds 4 of the top 5 rushing marks for a single game, 333 in a game, 331. His brother Dwayne had 307 in that game against Niceville. Michael with 244 and 243, and Jay Warren with 243. Jay went on to play football at Florida Atlantic.
Wow. And Michael went on, obviously, to North Carolina, and he had a game against Miami where him and his running mate
Javante Williams
both had over 300 yards in the same game against Miami in their senior season, which is incredible.
And Javante still playing with the Broncos.
Yep.
And what a tandem they were at North Carolina. Michael with 270 points in a season, which is just hard to fathom. 270 points for one season. Dante Ray behind him with 170 points career. Michael with 476. Dante with 445. I mean, look at some of these numbers, and they're just unreal. Your kickers, Tyler Daniel last year, would have been nice to see him back out here this year, but I understand what he's doing. Tyler Daniel with 76 points last season is a Navarre record for kickers. Luke Morton is the all-time leader with 112 career points for kickers. and he also holds the season lead 9 field goals, and for a career with 11. And there's your offense and some of the special teams. And now let's get over to the defense. Grady Kelly with 18 sacks, 26 for his career, as we mentioned earlier. Fumble recoveries for a season. Chris Stapleton, I loved watching that young man play football. When he hit you, it was like running into it like a brick wall. Brandon Williams, go all the way back to the 2001 to 03. He had 8 career fumble recoveries, him and Chris Stapleton. Tackles for loss for a season. This number is huge. Josh Carter, I think it was his freshman year, had 31 tackles for loss before they switched him to the defensive line, so you don't get quite as many sacks from the D line.
Right? Yeah, I think he wore number 4 back then.
So, and Jordan Jefferson was number 2 at 22 in a season. He's currently with the Jacksonville Jaguars. For a career, Josh ended up with 42 tackles for loss. Easy's up to 19 now, so he's working his way up. He's number 7 all time. Block kicks in a season, Eugene Robinson, the older brother of Johnny and of Will, with 5 block kicks in a season. Nick Benton leads the all-time with 7 block kicks for a career. Interceptions in a season, Michael Sandel was 6. He went on to play baseball for South Alabama. Interceptions in a career, Nick Benton with 11. Caused fumbles for a season, Christian Caballero, before he transferred over to the over yonder.
The team that won't be named.
Yeah, and for a career, Josh Carter leads the way with 11 career caused fumbles. Now we got 3 young men that are working their way up the history chart at Navarre. Andre Spence has worked his way into the number 9 spot all-time in tackle points with 169.5. Vinny is tied. He's right there in 14th place, working his way up. And Josh is over in 32nd all-time tackle points. Solo tackles for a career, Andre at number 9 there as well. Both have a chance to work their way up. Vinny with 117. He's tied for 11th now with Andrew Garcia from 2008 to 10 and Lucas Thomas from 2000 to 2002.
What's the number 1 record, or what's the number 1?
208 solo tackles by Josh Carter. He played all 4 years at Navarre. He worked those numbers up there. Josh with 91 solo tackles. He's sitting in about 28th place overall. Assisted tackles for a career, Bo Herring leads the way with 155. Most of Andre's and Vinny's and Josh are solo tackles, so we probably won't see them in the numbers there. Move over to total tackles. Andre has moved into the 7th spot there with 196 career total tackles, and Vinny comes in at number 20 with 100, actually tied for 18th with 2 others at 163 total tackles.
Wow. They got that chance to jump up into the top 5 in some of those categories. And, there's one way to get there, right? You play extra games. Make it to the playoffs, and you'll
Joe says, don't rub it in.
What about Niceville?
Oh, yeah, that was that 56-35 win when Dwayne Carter went for 307 yards and 6 touchdowns. And one of the highlights, I like going back to that game. Dwayne broke off a long run. 2 Niceville defenders are coming to meet him at about the 10-yard line. As they get ready to hit him, Dwayne stops. And they run into each other. Unfortunately, one of them got hurt on the play, but that was a big night for Dwayne.
It's like a Keystone Cops cartoon.
It was, and Dwayne, like I said, went for 307 yards that night, and that was a big night there. And wow. See, I don't get a chance to talk about history stuff, and I think this is a great opportunity to do so. Because I love statistics and I love numbers and everything. But let's get back to our scores from last week. We had a Wednesday night game. Rickards beat Fort Walton Beach in a district game, 17-14. Godby over Baker County, 39-34. J49 Central, nothing, a long year for Coach Surratt up there, but he knew that was coming. Our score.
They only have 4 seniors, right?
Only 4 seniors.
Yeah, so they'll be all right.
Escambia, we already said that score. Choctaw 37-0 over South Walton. Pine Forest over Crestview in a dogfight 13-7. West Florida over Gulf Breeze 35-7. We'll see Gulf Breeze next Friday night down the road.
Yep.
Payson, what a game, 35-31 over Madison County. Ben Tyner with a big game there. Pensacola shuts out Booker T. Washington 23-0. Catholic goes over to Mobile 48-20. Florida High over Childs 37-27. Gadsden County knocks off Lincoln. Kind of surprised us, but it didn't surprise me because I took Gadsden County in that one. Cairo, Georgia over Leon 35-7. Jefferson County over North Florida Christian 49-28. Arnold over Vernon 40-0. Mariana, what a game they had, 55-0 over North Bay Haven.
They're undefeated, aren't they?
Back to that with the Mariana. No, I'm getting to that game here in a second. Rutherford over Port St. Joe 31-7. Lighthouse over Snook Academy 39-0. Baker over Northview 20-6. Bluntstown over Sneeds 38-3. Upset Destin gets their first win of the season over Bozeman 24-21. Wakulla over St. John Paul II 21-14. Cottondale in a battle of unbeaten teams takes down Franklin County 56-27. And in that game, Jacarian Garrett, 26 carries, 418 yards, and 5 touchdowns in the win. And you probably had already guessed it. Yeah, he is our offensive player of the week this week.
400 yards.
418 yards. I remember a couple years back when Caleb Wagner was playing for Baker, and he broke the state record, Henry's record from a few years back. 500, I think it was 535 yards in a game for Baker one night. And the thing about Caleb, I don't even know if his history is he only has one full arm. So he plays running back he played running back and he played basketball as well.
Wow.
And he is that good that he is playing for Southern Illinois now.
Is he really?
At the next level. So props to him. Weewald gets the win over Liberty County 20-7. McClay puts FAMU out of their misery early 70-0. Scylla Christian stays unbeaten as they take out Calhoun County, Georgia 47-14. And the Hollis Christian at Chipley game was canceled as Hollis couldn't make the trip over from Jacksonville.
Can I change one of my picks?
Yeah, we haven't got to the picks yet. So as long as we don't make them public, we can still change them. I'm sorry, Joe. I had to rub that in just a little bit. I mean, the way that you're picking games over these last couple of years, you make us look like amateurs.
Well, I know I took FAMU in this week's game, and I want to switch that.
I was like, were you under medication when you made that pick?
I forgot to take my medication.
Yeah, we'll switch that over because that was kind of I was like, he didn't do that, did he?
No, I didn't mean to do that.
Even though North Florida Christian is struggling. They're not struggling that much.
I wrote upset next to it, but then I realized 70-0. Yeah, I'm going to switch that one. I'm taking North Florida Christian. Joe, Bob.
Oh, here we go. Let's go ahead and get to our picks right now, and we'll come back to our players of the week here in just a second. Okay, so we're going to move Bob over to North Florida Christian.
Paul.
We're all
Mr.
there
Clean.
now. We're all there now.
Okay.
I'm used to the old guy sitting next to me, not this old guy.
I'm older than he is.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we got a couple of Thursday night games. West Florida at Bay. We got split down the road here. Bob and Paul take West Florida. Joe and I take Bay. Choctaw going to Rickards to Tallahassee. Choctaw, I don't see him not pulling a victory out, and the rest of us think the same thing. Crestview at Navarre Friday night, big district matchup. All of us going with the Raiders.
Joe is too?
Even Joe.
Joe? Wow.
Joe took the Raiders.
Wow.
Joe will root for the Raiders if
they're
not playing Niceville.
I know.
That's what.
I get it.
Nice. Speaking of Niceville, nice segue there. They're going over to Mosley for probably the game of the week. Both teams 6-0. Mosley has gotten all of their tough games at home. And it was worked out for them on the schedule. But we're all still taking the Eagles.
Yeah, Niceville's not going to get beat until they play Navarre Week 10.
A big matchup here, another district play. Tate goes to Pace. The battle of four-letter team names.
I think I took Pace in that game.
We all took the Patriots at home. That offensive line may be one of the best offensive lines in the state.
Yeah.
I mean, they're big, they're strong, and it doesn't matter who's running the ball behind them. I think you and I could probably gain 200 yards behind those big guys. But we're all taking pace in that one. Milton going to Gulf Breeze. Bob takes Gulf Breeze in the upset. Well, is it really an upset? Both these teams pretty equally matched. The rest of us are going with Milton. Booker T. Washington going to Pine Forest. My son Brady says the offense still hasn't started clicking for Pine Forest yet, but they should this week against Washington.
Is Nick Simmons playing quarterback, or is he?
They're switching him and another player out. Gotcha. Escambia going Pensacola. This should be a pretty good game. This is a big time rivalry amongst these two schools, not separated by very much. Yep. Joe and I are taking Escambia. Bob and Paul are taking Pensacola. And running back A.G. Floyd, we got to see him in the preseason game.
We did.
That's a big young man.
That's number one, right?
Number one.
Yeah. He's big.
So we're swapped up there. Fort Walton Beach at Arnold. Arnold's just got too much offense for the Vikings. We're all going with the Marlins at home. Walton at Catholic. Walton's probably got the best quarterback in the area with Wells Bettenhausen, but he's going up against the best defense in the area in Catholic. That should be Catholic, as we all take Catholic in that one. South Walton going to Freeport. Bob he's got to stay with this South Walton team since he teaches out there. So the rest of us are taking Freeport.
And they're undefeated, right? Freeport?
Now Freeport is, let me look at the standings here. Freeport has moved up in classification this year for the first time. So they're up to 2A. They're 3-3 on the season.
3-3, okay. All right.
And let's move on to Lincoln at Childs. That should be no matchup for the Trojans. They'll win that one. They don't have to go very far, just cross town. Gaston County at Florida High. This should be a pretty good game. Gaston County is taking on all callers this year, and we're all going to go with them in this game. Leon at Mariana, there's no stopping that running back over there at Mariana. And Amari Clemens, a four-star junior running back for Mariana. They're still unbeaten on the season. We're all going with Mariana in that one. Godby at Wakulla. This is a big district matchup. Joe and I are taking Godby, and you and Bob are taking Wakulla, the War Eagles. Rutherford at North Bay Haven, all going with the Rams on the road. Once again, right across town. Baker at Zion Chapel. I know nothing about Zion Chapel. I have been to Chapel once or twice, but I don't know anything about Zion Chapel. We're going with Baker on the road in that one. Northview at Jay. The Royals continue their unbeaten season in this one.
Oh, they lost.
Oh, yes. They have lost to a out-of-state team.
Okay.
They lost to Flomaton, which is Flomaton is just across the border into Alabama, so they're undefeated in Florida.
So they're 5-1.
They're 5-1 overall. Actually 6-1 as they took out Central last week. Holmes County at Vernon, a long season for the Yellow Jackets, and Holmes County will put up a big number on them. We're all going with Holmes County. Blountstown at Dixie County. I don't know much about Dixie. Other than that we live down here in Dixie. But Blountstown in that one for all of us. Liberty County at Cottondale. Cottondale is undefeated, if I remember right. Let me go to the – yep, Cottondale is one of the few undefeated teams. Here's your only undefeated teams left. Cottondale, Taylor County, Mariana, Niceville, and Mosley are your only unbeaten teams. So 5 teams left as one dropped last week with Franklin County. Chipley at North Florida Education Institute. I don't know where that is at, but we're going to go with the Tigers in that one. FAMU, North Florida Christian, another trip across town, Tallahassee. We're all going with North Florida Christian.
I changed my pick.
He did before we put it out there. St. John Paul II at Maclay, another cross-city rivalry. We're all going with the Marauders in that one. Rains at Madison County. It's hard to pick against Madison County at Boot Hill, but Rains, one of the top teams in the state.
Isn't Rains undefeated?
Rains is unbeaten.
Okay.
And they don't need any more rain in that part of the country. But Spring Creek Charter at Rocky Bayou. We're all going with the Knights at home. And Taylor County looking to stay unbeaten as they go to Chiefland. You and Bob are taking Chiefland. Joe and I are going with Taylor County to stay unbeaten. Last week, Joe, once again,
Pick
Joe
Wizard.
20 and
Pick
5.
Wizard.
You and I went 19 and 6, respectable. Actually, all three of us went 19 and 6 for the season. Joe's kind of running away with it. He's got a 9-game lead on me, a 10-game lead on you, and a well, we won't talk about Bob. What did my mom say? If you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. So I won't. But let's get over to our college picks now, which is a little bit more competitive.
Vanderbilt.
Go Vandy.
Doors.
We're going to shut the doors on them.
I took them again. They're like a 7-point
I looked back at that game, and I was like, they never let Alabama take a lead in that game.
Not once.
They made Alabama play their game.
Yeah.
And they didn't seem nervous. They didn't seem like, oh, we're on the field with Alabama. Sometimes teams are beat before they even get on the field with Alabama. Yep. Vandy was not. They were ready for that game.
Absolutely.
And they surprised the whole college football country.
For sure.
But let's move over to college games. We've got some Friday night games, which I don't like because that means they're messing around with our high school football. But nonetheless, Memphis at South Florida. We're all going with the Tigers in that one, if they play it.
Where's it? Oh, South Florida.
South Florida in Tampa. So
I think the only safe parts of the state are going to be south and north. It's going right across the street.
The last storm that went through, I think the 850 was the only section from west of Tallahassee that didn't get in a hurricane warning area.
Yep, you're exactly right.
Northwestern at Maryland, a Big Ten matchup. We're all going with the Terrapins at home. Fear the Turtle. UNLV at Utah State. They suffered their first loss last week. I think we're all going to take them this week. And Utah at Arizona State. Bob, the lone difference, taking the home team Arizona State. The rest of us taking Utah. Saturday games, UAB at undefeated Army, 5-0.
Yep.
I mean,
Really
the academies, Army and Navy, both 5-0.
Wow, that's great. And then when do they play? They play
that. What if they go into that game?
That
well,
would be great.
I don't think they will because they both play Notre Dame.
So
they're going to give Notre Dame a game. They're going to give Notre Dame a game.
They'll be fine. They'll be undefeated when they get to play each other. They're playing Notre Dame. Come on.
Okay, Mr. BC.
Hey, BC lost to Virginia last week.
So UAB at Army, we're all going with the Black Knights there. Missouri at UMass, no matchup there. Missouri should walk away in that one. Georgia Tech at North Carolina. You're going with the Tar Heels at home. Hopefully they don't give a 70 spot up to who they're playing this week, Georgia Tech. The rest of us going with the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech. Clemson at Wake Forest have found the offense, and they even flashed a little defense against Florida State. Not that takes much this year. Sorry, Bob.
Florida State.
South Carolina, Alabama. I feel sorry for South Carolina this week.
They're going to get the wrath.
Wisconsin goes to Rutgers. Rutgers suffers their first loss last week against Nebraska in a low-scoring game. And while Wisconsin blew off the doors of the worst team in the Big Ten, Purdue. Paul and I are going with the Badgers. Joe and Bob are going with Rutgers. Washington at Iowa. They beat an overwhelmingly overrated Michigan team last week, but this time they're going to Iowa. You and I are going with the Hawkeyes, and Joe and Bob are going with Washington. We're all going with Notre Dame over Stanford. You're all taking Pittsburgh over Cal. I like the performance last week.
You going with Cal?
California against Miami, even though they lost it in the end. I'm going with Cal. That's my upset of the week.
I've got a couple upsets coming up here.
Cincinnati at UCF. Paul going with the road team there. The Bearcats. The rest of us going with the Knights, even though they suffered a big loss against Colorado last week. Yeah. I did not see that one coming.
No, I didn't either. But I took Colorado later in the game.
Louisville at Virginia. I took Louisville, but don't be surprised if Virginia gives them a game. They're playing pretty steady football this year.
Beat BC.
Yeah, Texas at Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout. We got to go with the Longhorns in that one.
I've been to that game.
Have you?
That's really
I
cool.
want to go to that
at the
game.
Cotton Bowl. They have it at the Cotton Bowl, and they have it. I believe it's the Cotton Bowl, and they have the Texas State Fair going on. At the same
Bob is checking in.
Hi, Bob.
Sorry, Bob. I didn't know if you'd be listening or not on the way home. But he is checking in. Purdue at Illinois. Purdue, like I said, struggling this year. Illinois playing well. We're all going with the Illini at home. Penn State at USC. USC fresh off a loss at Minnesota on the last play of the game. Paul, you're taking the Trojans at home. The rest of us going with Penn State. Arizona at BYU. We're all going with the overage players in that one. Mississippi State at Georgia. Georgia's hopefully they don't look ahead to their matchup next week as they play Texas next week, and that should be a great matchup. But don't Mississippi State struggling this year. We're all going with the Bulldogs. Usual matchup here: Florida at Tennessee. Florida has won 17 of the last 19 games against Tennessee.
It'll be 17 and 20.
It'll be 17 and 20. 17 out of 20 because Tennessee's going to boat race them in this one. Washington State at Fresno State. You're going with with Fresno State, the Bulldogs. Yep. Washington State, Wazoo. The rest of us going with Wazoo. Ole Miss at LSU. Joe going with Ole Miss. The rest of us going with LSU down in Baton Rouge.
Coach O in the house.
Yeah, we're missing Coach O.
Yeah,
don't think anything about it. Bob and Coach O are not the same person. Coach O had, I told you earlier when we came on the show, there was a missing Red Bull truck in Louisiana, and Coach O was on assignment today to try and find that Red Bull truck.
I found it.
And,
I found that Red Bull. I had too many. Sorry, Bob. I mean, sorry, Coach.
Oregon State at Nevada. Joe going with Nevada at home in the upset.
There was a girl drinking Red Bull out the street, too.
Oregon State. The rest of us are going with Oregon State. Ohio State at Oregon.
I went Oregon.
Here's your upset. Yep. Paul going with the Ducks. And the rest of us, we're going with the best team money can buy, Ohio State. Vanderbilt at Kentucky.
I took Vandy.
Joe and Paul going with the sentimental pick. It's usually not good for a team that knocks off the number one team in the previous week to go into another person's yard where their grass is blue. And the turf's not blue, but they got blue grass. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're saying.
Bob and I going with Kentucky. Joe and Paul going with Vandy. We're not going to shut the door on that one.
No doors.
Syracuse at North Carolina State. We're all going with Syracuse. Iowa State at West Virginia. You're all going with the home team. I'm going with the Cyclones to continue their hot season. Kansas State at Colorado. We're split here. Bob and I are taking Kansas State. You and Joe are taking Colorado. And Boise State had Hawaii. And Gente has had over 1,000 yards in his first 5 games. He may get 1,000 in this game against Hawaii. And catapulted himself into the Heisman Trophy hunt. Last week, Joe won both high school and college last. Yeah, he went 19-9. I went 18-10. You and Bob went 17-11. I got a 5-game lead on Joe, and you and Bob are 8 games back at 111-46. Still 70%. That's pretty solid.
That's pretty good. And I will bring up the fact that this is the first year that I'm also in the Navarre Press College.
Who's leading that?
Well, you didn't let me finish.
Go ahead.
There's only 5 of us. Coach Lee Jones and Coach Hemme from the football team, Stacy Wright from University of Lending, you and I. And there's 10 select games each week. It's not all the games. And you are ahead. You are leading by one game over me. And then Hemme and Lee and Stacy.
It's tight because I believe Lee won it last year in his first year.
He did win it last year.
He won't let us live it down if he wins it back-to-back years.
He's not going to win it back-to-back.
A couple of weeks ago at the home game, I kind of called him out.
I did too.
And told him he's not going to catch me. And so we need to spread the margin a little bit with that young man. But Joe, yeah, you're right. He didn't play the second half. All of his stats for Boise State Gente last week was in the first half.
Crazy.
186 yards on 13 carries in the first half. 1,000 yards in the first 5 games.
That's crazy.
That's pretty incredible. He's on pace for about 2,500 with playing 12 games. And they played their tough game already because they got beat to Oregon by 3 points. That's their closest game, and that's the toughest on their schedule. But you know what? Before I bring up our next topic, I have to do something, because anytime that we get ready to do this, I got to turn down the volume a little bit. It's time for Irish Bills Panhandle Power Rankings Week 7 and our Irish Bills Players of the Week. Large schools: Niceville, Mosley, Pace, Tate, Choctaw, Escambia, Arnold. Well, Bill, that's the same as last week. Yeah, because they all won. Catholic, Mariana, Jay, Cottondale, Chipley, Walton, and Baker in the small schools. Yes, those are all the same, too, because there was no losers last week. Let's go over to our Players of the Week for Week 7. From Cottondale, Jokarian Garrett, 26 carries, 418 yards, 5 touchdowns. Over to Arnold, where Mac Jones registered 21 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 17 solos, 4 assists, and the Marlins 40-0 victory. And up to Jay, where kicker Jacob Lewis went 7 for 7 on extra points. And there's all your Panhandle Power Rankings and your Players of the Week for Week 7.
Ooh, I get tired doing that drum roll.
I know. You're pretty good. You put out a pretty good beat there.
Oh, thank you.
But like I said, nobody lost, and we had a few teams with open weeks last week. Niceville, Mosley, and Tate were off last week. Walton was off as well, but everybody else won, so there was no movement in our power rankings at all. And every week our players here in the Panhandle just produce big numbers.
They do. We've got some great players across the board, all the way to Pensacola, all the way to the Big Bend, and it's fun to watch, fun to be a part of.
Most definitely, and we're going to go head out for commercial break. Then we'll be back for our last segment. Paul Villanova, Irish Bill, and in for Seminole Bob tonight on Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. We'll be back after this commercial break.
To everyone making time for life's best moments, let our team member Sandy share how Culver's is serving up Celebration by the Scoop.
Our rich and creamy fresh frozen custard makes every day a little bit sweeter. Enjoying a handcrafted treat with all the ooey gooey toppings you love? Now that's worth celebrating.
Come to Culver's and let us serve you a sweet treat to make every moment count. From Wisconsin with love, welcome to Delicious.
A strong work ethic takes pride in a job well done. This is the kind of person you need. Express Employment Professionals can help, because we understand what it takes to hire the right person. It takes real people, real interviews. We find good people, matching the right skills with the right jobs from the production floor to the front office. Express knows jobs. Get to know Express. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. Buying, building, or refinancing a dream home is in your future. You need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes, Stacy Wright, and Sheila Billingham are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or refinancing experiences smooth. So University Lending at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call us at 850-396-0322. Navarre Fitness is where old school meets new. Whether you're into free weights or the latest and greatest weightlifting equipment, they will meet your needs. They have cardio machines as well if you want to get your sweat on. Whatever direction you decide to go, trainers Clay Horton, Brick Grubbs, Andrew Coase, and Stephanie Hunt will be there to assist you along the way. So what are you waiting for? Oh yeah, how do I join? Just go to navarrefitness.net and check out our rates, or call us at 850-816-5434. You can even stop by our location at 8700B Navarre Parkway in Navarre. You can also visit our sister gym, Midway Fitness, at 5660 Gulf Breeze Parkway, Unit 1. Both facilities are open 24/7. We are the place to go to get you started on the road to a better you. The Hustle isn't named after anyone, not after a designer, definitely not after a mythological god. It's not about stripes or ranking or status. The Hustle is real. The Hustle is about you. So keep in mind when you're repping and rocking Hustle Hard USA streetwear, you can tell all the onlookers that this mark, this brand represents your hustle, your grind. You put in that time, that sweat, that pain. Now it's up to you to show them all what you got. Win or lose, the hustle is real. Go to www.hustlehardusa.com, and I can guarantee you will not be disappointed.
Sometimes all you need to change your life is a sign. Like an actual sign that's like above you. And no, I don't love B-dubs just because I'm a buffalo with wings. Frankly, that's offensive and reductionist. It's like they made beer into a place and gave that place sports and chicken wings. And the people, the best.
Marty! You're dead weight!
Yeah, this place is kind of like heaven. You know, without needing to get hit by a bus.
Let's go sports bar!
Welcome back to Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. Paul Villanova is filling in for Seminole Bob tonight, a team that knows how to win a game. He roots for Boston College. And sorry, Bob. It's going to be a long season for Florida State.
I think they play each other at some point coming up, BC and
I think they already did
they
play.
did. BC won, that's right.
BC won.
I forgot. Cause
when they had a healthy quarterback.
I don't think Florida State played in that game.
I think it was their first game of the season they played BC. But anyways, we're going to finish off the show here tonight with our former Navarre Raiders. Where are they now? Arizona Cardinals running back Michael Carter still on the practice squad for the Cardinals. He's in his fourth year in the NFL. Jacksonville Jaguars, Jordan Jefferson not getting a whole lot of chances to play this year, but I'm sure they'll work his way in because Jacksonville's struggling a little bit this year. Mm-hmm. They're 1-4 on the season. He didn't play in a 37-34 win over the Colts this past weekend. And they'll be facing off this Sunday morning against my Chicago Bears in London. So we'll be up early at football all weekend long. Next weekend, I'll be at the Georgia Tech Notre Dame game in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, okay.
My first trip to Mercedes-Benz Dome, and I can't wait.
That's great.
I've heard that is just beautiful.
It is
up there. My son Brady and his friend Trevor, we're all going up
awesome.
Next Saturday to
fun.
catch the game. I'm 4-0. In games that I've 2 in Tallahassee and 2 at Notre Dame. I'm 4-0, so I haven't watched them lose in person.
I've only been in one Notre Dame game, and they won. They played Sanford and Christian McCaffrey's senior year, but he was hurt and didn't play in that game, and Notre Dame won the game.
I see they played Florida State twice, then they played Rutgers, and then I think they played Stanford as well. So cold, rainy in October, November in South Bend. But Quentin Randolph, he finished off his IFL year with the 11-6 record and he had a great year, the Las Vegas Knights. And
great receiver.
And 56 receptions, 818 yards, 15 touchdowns, 15 carries, 45 yards, 3 touchdowns. Come on, folks. This guy deserves a chance at the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one of the best ball catchers I have ever seen
go get the
play.
Ball. Sure.
If it gets in his hands, you might as well put it on the board because he's not going to drop it. Give Quentin a chance. Temple wide receiver Dante Wright having a great graduate season. He had 8 receptions, 67 yards, and a 29-20 loss to UConn this past week. Their next game, they'll face Tulsa. They got the week off this week. For the season, Dante with 42 receptions, 517 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he's also their punt return guy as well. An open week for Eastern Kentucky University running back Josh Carter. Great year so far, 85 carries, 425 yards for the 3-2 Eastern Kentucky Colonel team. 6 receptions as well. McNeese State University offensive lineman Elijah Melendez, a senior. They're 4-3 on this season.
Senior already.
He started all 7 games at tackle for McNeese State. They lost 43-22 this past weekend against Houston Christian. They got the week off this week, and they'll be on the road at Incarnate Word in Texas. Huntington College Bailey Houston had a solo and 5 assisted tackles on a 45-31 win over Belhaven. Their next game this Saturday at noon is they'll be on the road at Methodist. For the season, Bailey 23 tackles, 14 solo, 9 assists, 5 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks on the season for Bailey.
Love watching him play when he was here.
Florida State defensive lineman Grady Kelly. He had a solo tackle in the 29-13 loss to Clemson. They got this week off, and then there'll be a Friday night game next Friday night at Duke. The 6 o'clock kickoff on the season. 3 solo tackles and a sack for Grady in his first year at Florida State. University of West Florida linebacker Devin Wright did not play in a 31-0 win over Mississippi College. Did you guys make it out to the game?
We did not. Vinny did. We did not. But he stayed and watched the game. They said they looked good.
I think they got homecoming coming up this weekend, and they got a very tough Delta State team coming in out of Mississippi. That's a 4 o'clock kickoff. If you aren't doing anything locally, you want to go out and catch great D2 football action. UWF Delta State, 4 o'clock Saturday night.
I love the fact that they changed their game times. They used to play a lot of them at 6 or 7 o'clock, and it doesn't get over till 10. You get back home at 11. 4 o'clock is great. You still have your evening.
Believe me, some of those road trips that we went on with Brady. We had a game when we played Delta Short. He was still at Shorter, and they were playing at Delta State. It was supposed to be a 2 o'clock kickoff. They moved it to 6.
Oof.
And we had gotten there early. So by the time we got out of there, it was 10 o'clock. And if you know where Delta State is, it's in Cleveland, Mississippi.
Which is in the Delta, all the way
and
up the left corner.
It's 5 hours and 45 minutes, no matter which way you look at it, from Navarre to Cleveland, Mississippi. And the last 100 miles is all back roads.
Was that the deer?
No, I didn't hit a deer that time.
Oh, dear.
You and Bob plan that?
My wife planned that for me because she loves to hear Bob say it every week. Oh, dear.
But that was a long trip, and it took us about 6.5 hours to get. We got in at like 4 o'clock in the morning. That was a long day. Kennesaw State offensive lineman Ethan Newman starting for the Owls of Kennesaw State. Unfortunately, they had a big loss to Jacksonville State, a D2. Actually, an FCS power, 63-24 at home last week. They'll be off this weekend, but then they have a Tuesday night game next week.
Wow.
At Middle Tennessee State, 8 p.m. kickoff, because tonight's the first Tuesday night game in college football. FIU is playing somebody. I forget who they're playing tonight.
Are these storm-related?
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they're playing because now basically we will not have a day off of football till February.
There you go.
Darn. They're 0-5 on the season, still looking for their first win. Also, University of Western Michigan wide receiver Terrence Marshall still looking to get on the field. They're 2-3. He didn't play in a 45-42 win over Ball State this past weekend. They got a game against Akron this week. West Florida defensive back, his twin brother Tyrell has not seen the field yet. And they got the Delta State game this week. The Maryville College quarterback Hunter Feaster, he did not travel with the team this past weekend, but they did win 38-13. And Jackson Spalla, one of our big bubbas, got some playing time again
awesome.
For the second consecutive weekend. They got this weekend off, and then they'll be on the road. And I didn't even put the opponent. And then we have Lighthouse Christian College, Charlie Cottrell. He was going to give up his college season, but he got the opportunity.
Sure.
When Coach Ronnie Cottrell came calling with the new program over there at Lighthouse Christian College. They're 3-1 on the season. They're supposed to have a game this weekend, but Southwest Florida Prep will not be able to make the trip up because of the storm.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure.
But so you got anything on your mind? Usually we reserve this time slot.
Bob's Rant?
We called it, now it's called Grant's Rant.
Grant's Rant. I was thinking Paul's Pet Peeves.
Okay. Whatever you want to call it, it's your floor.
It's my floor. I don't really have one. I guess the only ones I have, is that Navarre got off to a tough start, right? And I happen to come home after every game, and I'll watch the game again, and then I'll get on Facebook and I'll read. So my pet peeves are all the keyboard warriors who love to go on there and just on a brand new coach this year, head coach, and for the first 3 games they were all over Coach Bagley, and I took offense to that. I think that's it's great to hide behind a keyboard and talk about how somebody's doing. Then since we've turned it around and started playing good, they've all gone silent.
It's kind of been quiet.
You don't see them again. So my pet peeve is own your remarks, and if they turn out to be not true, then own it and stand up to it and say, hey, great job, coach, because that's what he deserves. So that's my pet peeve.
Most definitely. Once again, you have joined us for Irish Bill's Twist on Sports Week 7. Paul Villanova stepping in for Seminole Bob tonight. This is Irish Bill from Culver's in Navarre. Join us back tomorrow night as we'll be down the road down yonder at Buffalo Wild Wings, 8 o'clock. We'll have.
There's a sign.
We'll have. I'm not sure what coach will be on with this.
Oh, I
tomorrow
do know.
night.
I do know.
Do you know?
Yes, it's going to be Coach Lawson, defensive coordinator.
Bob
and
Coach Lawson,
and
who played at Navarre.
He did, and he's going to have, since he still coaches defensive backs, he's going to have 2 senior defensive backs on. He's going to have Cooper Black and Bryce Moore.
Bryce Moore, good deal, and it'll be nice because you know that Coach Lawson graduated in 2006, the same year that fall is when Coach Bagley started at Navarre.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't think about that.
So the same year, but they didn't cross paths. Fran Lawson was a defensive back at Navarre. And
I think Coach Bagley will be here too, but he did tell me that Coach Lawson and Cooper and Bryce will be here.
Did you get Gannis last week, Coach Gannis? Wasn't that a great interview with him?
It was.
That guy has got so much energy.
He does a great job. And I'll leave you with, I also talked to Dean Barrow, who's the head of the band, and I talked to Coach Bagley tonight. We're going to have a night, I don't know when it's going to be, where we're going to try to have the Friday Night Lights group. So somebody from band, somebody from cheer, somebody from somebody from ROTC.
I've been asking about that. Well, we've had the managers on, we've had the players, we've had the coaches, and the trifecta, or however what you want to say it, would get the band out there, and I'm all for that because the Friday night experience is not the Friday night experience without the band.
Well, the band, the cheerleaders, maybe we'll get somebody from the dance team and our ROTC, get them all out there. And
most definitely, that'll be a great show. And we got Navarre coming up, Crestview Friday night. Before then, Buffalo Wild Wings coaches show tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central. Be there or be square. For Seminole Bob, Paul Villanova, and Irish Bill. Have a good night, folks. Until tomorrow night.
Good night.